Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kasmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Speaker of Parliament will this afternoon deliver a ruling on whether the embattled MP for kpandai, Mathew Nyindam, can continue to participate in business of the House after the Tamale High Court annulled his election. We're live in Parliament for the very latest. Also coming up, Ghana condemns military takeover in Guinea-Bissau, describing the action as an unlawful and dangerous assault on democratic governance. And much later, Conference of Principals of Colleges of Education, PRINCOF, urges members of CETAG to reconsider a strike. Let's start from here. The government of Ghana has issued a strong condemnation of the military takeover in Guinea-Bissau, describing it as an unlawful and dangerous assault on democratic governance. A group of soldiers on Wednesday announced the takeover of power and the arrest of of the president, Imaro Sissoko Embalo. A statement issued by the Ministry for Foreign Affairs condemned the coup, distressing that the act disrupts the electoral process that followed the peaceful presidential and legislative elections held on November 23, 2025. Ghana also expressed profound concern over what it described as, quote-unquote, a brazen attempt to subvert the will of the Bissau Guinean people, noting that the coup has interrupted the country's democratic trajectory and obstructed the expected announcement of election results scheduled for today, the 27th of November 2025. The statement called for the immediate restoration of constitutional order, urging all actors in the country to respect the electoral process. It emphasized that any concerns arising from the elections must be resolved peacefully and through legally recognized mechanisms. The government appealed to the people of Guinea-Bissau to remain calm, exercise restraints, and avoid actions that could escalate tensions. Meanwhile, the election observer missions of the African Union, the Economic Community of the West African States, and the West African Elders Forum have expressed concern over development in Guinea-Bissau. In a joint statement, the election missions described the coup as an attempt to erode the country's progress toward stability and to strengthen democratic institutions. And very shortly, we'll be getting some analysis on this. Now, the Conference of Principals of Colleges of Education, PRINCOF, is urging members of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association to reconsider a strike. Now, CETAG on Monday declared a nationwide indefinite industrial action over unresolved grievances pertaining to some aspect of the conditions of service. Let's listen to the president of PRINCOF, Professor Samuel Atintonu, speaking earlier to the press.
I talked about infrastructure constraints in the colleges. By 2008, they converted them to diploma awarding when they were pre-tertiary. Fast forward 2018-2019, that made them institutions to produce degree. And nothing has been done so much about the infrastructure. So these ones have to deal with classroom or lecture halls infrastructure because they were previously designed as classrooms like secondary schools. But when you're in a tertiary space, you know that you need large lecture halls. Then, of course, they must also be equipped with technology to be able to deliver. Most of the colleges are struggling, they don't have this. ICT labs, science labs, they are all very limited. Where they have them, they are not actually in good shape. Hostel accommodation is a big problem. These are very serious challenges that the colleges are facing. in terms of infrastructure. For us, our proposal is, I think, appealing to government. They did well last year. By increasing the vote, usually it comes around 300,000, 400,000. It became 1 million last year, at least for each college. Since we are the new people, if we establish a new tertiary institution, like a university, government gives a seed money. This year, the new government has given the new universities 10 million cedis, CETAG, and then there's one at Sumaya, they also got 10 million. But the college and the convention, no seed money has been given. It is our proposal that governments look at it. At least if we cannot get 10 million as seed money, this will give us 5 million for each college so that we will be able to prepare the teachers very well.
Meanwhile, the national president of CETAG, Maxwell Bono, says the association will meet on Friday to take a decision on its nationwide industrial action. This meeting, he said, will take a closer look at the outcomes of an earlier meeting between CETAG executives and the Minister of Education earlier on Tuesday.
We met the Honorable Minister for Education, Honorable Beatrice Adu, yesterday, and he has actually listened to us, and we are very grateful to him. Out of the 5 issues, he had identified 3 of them. That is to pay the all-year round compensation to the outstanding colleges, to also make sure that the 2023-24 book and research allowance arrears are also paid. Then also the issue of accredited college education, their research topper for 2022 will also be paid. What he could not address immediately has got to do with the 2022-23 arrears, book and research allowance arrears, because there's some disagreements regarding that. Then the last issue regarding our experienced colleagues who have been downgraded as a result of the migration because the regulator felt that they do not have the requisite minimum qualification. That he said he will need some consultation on that before he could make a decision. We actually were happy with his intervention. However, the challenge for now is the trust issue. The trust issue in the sense that in the past it has been promises upon promises that are filled that we have gotten to this stage.
And you have the national president of CETAG, Professor Samuel Atintonu. Let's go to the Ashanti region now. Now, the Bosome Frehon District Assembly in the Ashanti region has intensified efforts to combat illegal mining, issuing firm directive to all small-scale miners to submit the operational licenses for verification and assessment. Ibrahim Abubakar is our man following this. He joins us live on the line. What more can you tell us?
Well, Beatrice, I can tell you that Bosome Frehon is one of the most areas that have been severely impacted by illegal mining in the Ashanti region. You go there and you realize hundreds of acres of land have been degraded and several water bodies they have also been polluted by the activities of these illegal miners. So that's why the Assembly is renewed and fight against illegal mining is launching a dual strategy against the menace. So one, it is looking at combining strict enforcement with collaborative land restoration. So it has issued an ultimatum to all the miners in the area, both registered or unregistered, to submit their documents so that they will be able to separate the two, and they will also be monitoring their activities. And secondly, they are also trying to partner with these miners to ensure that they reclaim all degraded land so that they will be able to preserve the land and also other water bodies. So that is the engagement that is currently being done, because they are also looking at not contracting people who have not destroyed the land, but the same people whose activity have somehow impacted the land will be involved in the reclamation efforts. The Chief Executive Officer for Bosome Frehon, Dr. Piafobi, and also some of the leadership of the miners have been speaking to us with regards to this new approach. Let's listen to them.
We want to regulate and monitor the activities they are doing, whether are they in line with the directives given by the President of the Republic of Ghana, so that we are able to monitor the activities. Anyone who defaults the activities he or he is doing, then the Assembly has set aside a task force monitor team that will be moving around to the various communities at the various places where these small-scale miners are doing their activities. Anyone who go contrary against the rules and regulations will be sent to court.
We are ready to reclaim all the places that we have in mind. We'll be going around. Anybody who is doing illegal things, we fish him out and bring him to face the book of law. We will not be there, and our name will be going out there. So everybody will mention. Even they call us Galamsey. We are not Galamsey people. We have our documents. We are small-scale miners. So far as we have been in training, we want to do professional work.
Let's return to our earlier story about the government of Ghana condemning the military takeover in Guinea-Bissau. We're joined by Professor Daniel Dramani Kipo Sunye. He is an associate professor at the Legon Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy of the University of Ghana. Good afternoon, Prof. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Your call has been put on hold.
And we'll bring you that conversation later. Now, the mother of the 8-year-old girl who died in Wednesday's early morning fire at the Dansoma market says she had briefly stepped out to get food around midnight when the incident occurred. Joseph Armstrong Goldalogbi reports that investigations to determine the cause of the fire are currently ongoing.
Naomi, not her real name, is the mother of the 8-year-old who died in a tragic fire. Naomi told the news team that she had left her daughter for a few minutes to buy food when she received the word that the market was on fire.
I left her to buy food when I received a call that the market is on fire. But when I returned, it was too late.
She explains that she's learning a trade at the market, and because her home in Kaswa is far, she usually sleeps at the market with her child on weekdays, returning home only on weekends.
I come from Kaswa, so I sleep at the market and go home on weekends.
Thousands of traders, mostly dressmakers, lost hundreds of Ghana cedis worth of items. Akos is a fashion designer. She says she had just taken delivery of fabrics to sew for her customers ahead of the Christmas season before the fire.
Sewing machines are now very expensive. How am I going to start all over again?
Later in the day, the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Agnes Namumulati, visited the scene to sympathize with the affected traders. For this trader, losing 3 separate containers filled with customers' materials has left her devastated. The minister assured traders of government commitment to support them to return to business.
Largely, women are those who are affected. And you know, especially where they are single mothers, you know what the market means to them. Some go on daily basis, and that is where they get their daily bread. So we can't keep the place locked up for a very long time. Whilst my sister from Maslock and I work on what can be done for those that are within our means to immediately help, whilst we wait for the full report, we'll do that. And then we are also offering the psychosocial support to those who are badly affected, like one person having 3 stores and then the loss of life.
MC for the area, George Kpakpo Aloti, announced that portions of the market will be reopened on Thursday, November 27th, following a meeting of the Municipal Security Council.
About 30% of the market is gone. So yes, the 70 can start business tomorrow.
The CEO of Microfinance and Loan Center, Maslock, assured of government assistance.
We'll carry them along. We'll try and find support for them. If you hear some of them were talking about sewing machines, industrial sewing machines, obviously these are things that Maslock we work on. So we'll come to them halfway.
Wednesday's Dansuma Market fire destroyed several wooden structures and their contents. However, firefighters managed to save adjoining properties from total destruction.
Joseph Armstrong found that report. The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, is expected this afternoon to deliver a ruling on the status of the embattled Member of Parliament for Kpandai, Mathew Nyindam. This follows a request by the Majority Caucus that Mr. Nyindam be barred from entering the chamber, arguing that he no longer holds the position of MP after a High Court annulled the 2024 parliamentary result and ordered fresh elections in the Kpandai constituency. Let's listen to the Majority Chief Whip, Roxanne Nelson Dapiamekpo, on the floor of Parliament yesterday.
Mr. Speaker, ipso facto, the Honorable Nyindam is no longer a member of this House. He's not. We have received the court orders and received proof of service. The orders of the court has been duly served on Parliament. It was served yesterday. The Honorable Nyindam is now a persona non grata. I pray that he must even be marched out of the chamber.
But the minority, however, has rejected both the application and the court's decision, accusing the bench of what members describe as a shameful conduct. Alexander Apanyumarking is the leader of the minority group in Parliament.
Never, as leader of this House, did I advocate that Honorable Jechikwesi, having lost a High Court case, should be marched out of this chamber. Let me spend a bit of time on Jechikwesi. After the High Court ruling, and he filed an appeal and a stay of execution, this House never denied Jechikwesi his right of entry and his right to be heard.
You had that, the minority leader, Alexander Apanyumarking. Let's go to our correspondent in Parliament, Christian Yale, who joins us live on the phone. Chris, we know Parliament is setting up for proceedings this afternoon, but if you can tell us the mood among MPs ahead of the ruling by the Speaker.
Now, MPs really are waiting with bated breath to see the direction of the Speaker in this matter, also because it is not a fresh case. You heard the minority leader reference the case of James Jechikwesi, whose issue was at the Cape Coast High Court. In fact, Beatrice, and if I should run you through a little of history concerning that case, what we know is that there was a High Court injunction prior to the case swearing in, and then that particular one, the NDC side insisted at the time that he should be allowed to bear the consequences of his action. So they allowed him to be sworn in. And then the High Court then ruled that he was not eligible to have contested the election. Now he filed for stay. That's what we know, that he filed for a stay and appealed the case. However, he remained in Parliament all throughout until a fresh action at the Supreme Court, which resulted in the Supreme Court injuncting him from parliamentary roles. He didn't go into the chamber yet. That the SCE, which is the Supreme Court, finally ruled against him as well, resulting in the by-election, which subsequently also confirmed this election and brought him back into the chamber. Now, what the minority side is saying is that even after he had lost the High Court case, he was allowed to participate in parliamentary business. And so it cannot be said today that Mathew Nyindam should be barred from entering the chamber or barred from participating in parliamentary business. Also, the other question many ask now is that, is it the case, which is what the minority side argue, is it the case that once you have filed or appealed, it automatically injunct or nullify the directive by the court, which is one thing that makes a lot of us want to hear from the Speaker on how he's going to rule. But once the Speaker rules and declares the seat vacant indeed today, then the clerk would then write to the Electoral Commission to announce the vacancy, and then subsequent by-election would be held.
Have you spotted the MP himself? I know he's issued a statement on his Facebook thanking family and supporters and promising that this project must continue well.
I have not cited him yet around the President of Parliament, and also I just exited the chamber. He is not in yet. I see only the Chief Whip on the minority side, Frank Anodom, who is currently here. But it is expected, also because I have heard him say on other networks that should the Speaker rule that his seat be declared vacant, he is going to comply with that directive and keep his fingers crossed that in the end of it all, he would be exonerated and possibly brought back to Parliament to represent the people of Kpandai. Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Christian Yale. He's a parliamentary correspondent. Let's try one more time. Return to our earlier story about the government of Ghana condemning that military takeover in Guinea-Bissau. Let's speak to Professor Daniel Dramani Sunyezi. He's an associate professor at the Legon Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy, LESIAT, of the University of Ghana. Good afternoon, Prof. Hope you can hear us.
Good afternoon.
If you can tell us what this latest military takeover really signals about the broader patterns of political instability in that country and West Africa as a whole.
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate situation that Guinea-Bissau at this very moment that such a thing has happened. But of course, in the international system, it's not new, and government of Ghana condemning the takeover is appropriate as far as the ECOWAS protocol, democracy and good governance is concerned. Yes, but I also believe that all the issues are always tied to domestic issues. What is happening in West Africa should be worried is a growing trend of constitutional changes, amendments, disqualification of political opponents. And if you have very credible opposition figure leading a major party, and for whatever reason such a person is disqualified, it undermines democracy and undermines the outcome. And this is the trend that is very dangerous for West African states. And Guinea-Bissau is in the same state. Last minute disqualifying opposition members. And I think that in West Africa, we have to watch this out, and all our governments should not only be condemning, but to also ask themselves, at least create a leveling field. The playing field should be leveled. We must not undermine opposition, because opposition is government in waiting. Opposition serve as shadow ministers, leading and at least to keep the incumbent government on check. But when you have such a bigger party, and for whatever reason, at the last minute you disqualify, then the presidency is undermining democracy, and which that will be the end of it. And once the army, who's supposed to protect the country, feel that the Democrats, the civilians are not able to govern, what do we expect? They will step in to stabilize the area. And once they stabilize, the military is not going away. They are going to stay on power. And I think that is what all West African states, government must watch. Let's not so much antagonize. We have to change that growing trend of disqualifying opposition leaders. You ban them, and sometimes you even not allow any member of the party to contest. This is a growing trend. And I think that ECOWAS should not only be condemning, but we should develop interest to take the early warning signs and act promptly, because the signs are always clear.
They should act. They should act. Yes. Frankly, you say. And so, what are those practical steps you expect the regional and indeed the African bloc leadership to take towards this?
Yes. One of them is this principle of non-interference in domestic affairs. I think that provision needs to be revoked, possibly modified. ECOWAS, once you see that there are manipulation, constitutional interpretation, banning political opponent, key 1, 2 are banned, ECOWAS must step in and restrain the president and restrain the ruling parties, that this provision will undermine democracy. And so you should allow the opposition to contest the election. That is what we should do. We must not say that because we want to go by the principle of non-interference. I think it is high time ECOWAS review that principle, intervene when you see that some countries are going offline. And that is the best way we can take measures to protect and promote democracy in West Africa. We should not always wait when the eventual takeover happens, they will come out to condemn. We must get in, stop it at the right time. That should be the best approach.
What do you see as the implication of this for the sub-region itself? I mean, are people going to take inspiration from this?
Of course, I think that sub-region democracy seems to be failing us, and gradually we're going this way. So it will get to a point that it will no longer be a surprise thing, but becomes a norm. That will become, military rule become our political culture. And that is where we are going, gradually. From the Sahel, it's coming down. And I think that unless we are also giving up on democracy and welcoming non-democratic governments, provided for me any form of government that is able to provide the needs of the people, that should be. And so we can redefine our ECOWAS protocols. As long as it's a government that provides the basic things, make life better, we should respect that, whether it's democratic or not. And that should be the way forward.
My final question to you, beyond the statement issued by Ghana to condemn this takeover, what else do you expect from the country?
Well, I believe that is all what we can do. Because once there's a new regime, if you continue condemning and taking action, you might, and at least Ghana relation with Guinea-Bissau will go down. So the condemnation should be, I don't think our government should go further than what they have done.
Thank you very much. We ended here. You had Professor Daniel Dramani Kipo Asu Yenzi. He's an associate professor at the Legon Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy, LASIAD, at the University of Ghana. And that's it for the news here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Good afternoon.